professor. These are my two listeners to the speech. There's my dog. Here's me. And this is the cultural speech. When a genocide is successfully carried out, victims lose more than their lives. They lose their heritage as well. In this speech, I intend to explain how Cambodian music helped to raise me, helped to ease the pain of massive loss, and helped to create a new home in California. With my first point, I will tell you about how Cambodian music was essential to my childhood. Then I will speak about how Cambodian music maybe helped to ease our familial pain. And finally, I'll speak about how it made a new home for us in California. To begin, I will speak about how Cambodian music raised me. Due to the fact that my grandparents cared deeply about my upbringing, they would often play music that they thought I would enjoy. Unfortunately for the younger me, that music would be Cambodian music. As a young child, listening to my dance music was tantamount to torture, since I couldn't speak the language, nor could I really enjoy that style of music. However, the time I spent with my grandparents listening to that music made me realize just how important it was to me. So I started to listen more carefully as I became older. It wasn't until I was around the age of 8 that I began to understand that they played the Cambodian music to help provide me with the context of what they lost during their escape from Cambodia. The subject of the Khmer Rouge and the horrors that my grandparents faced under them was always, to me at least, treated with a degree of reverence that wasn't really able to be breached. It wasn't possible for me to casually ask, especially as a child either. In spite of this, they knew I was curious about our homeland. So having me listen to what they thought was important, what they had lost during the genocide, was the best analog they could communicate through. And they lost a lot. In my next point, I would like to speak about how Cambodian music softened the pain of the loss caused by the genocide. As I mentioned before, my grandparents were less than inclined in ever mentioning what happened to them during the genocide. When my grandparents didn't think I was watching, they would often go over mementos that they managed to escape with. And every time they did so, they would play almost haunting melodies from records that managed to survive the destruction. I saw the somber look in their eyes each time they played the music, and I realized what the surviving songs meant to them. When I became older, they decided to play old wedding videos of my aunts and uncles before I was born. And I realized that in each of those videos shown to me, there was some variation of the songs that they played. And for years, I assumed that the songs that were played were hurting them, when they were really helping them cope with what they had lost. In my final point, I would like to speak about how Cambodian music helped my family develop roots in California. To this day, when I think of Cambodian music, I often think about the instruments, the dancing, and the clothing that accompany it. When we had nothing to do on a Saturday, my grandparents would often take me to listen to live Cambodian music in Cambodia town. Now, the places they often took me to were just a restaurant that had a large stage and could accommodate a large crowd. And no one really cared about that. Instead, the main event was often the venue. And the shimmer of the fake jewels and silk off the singers, the odd tinny quality of the mic, and the excessive smoke on stage coupled with overblown instruments drove home a very weird and fun experience for a young child. And when I came home on the following Monday morning, I relayed to my friends what I experienced. And to my surprise, each of them experienced something within that line. For my Hispanic friends, they would experience loud mariachi music from their weddings or from a celebration. Some of my Caucasian friends would talk about how they went line dancing with their grandparents. And some of my other, Asian friends would share very similar, unfortunately, stories with me. And it was then that I realized, no matter what happens to your culture, as long as it's celebrated or observed, it survives. And as I reach the end of my speech, I would like to address why this music was so important to me. Growing up with my grandparents, I felt that I had very little connection to them or my culture. It wasn't until they introduced me to their music that I realized I was deeply connected to both. When I spoke to my peers, I realized that many of their experiences were the same too. In conclusion, music can be all you need to know about your culture. Thank you.